Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Andrew Olson, and you are watching a classic cinema review of Black Angel, directed by Roy William Neill and released by Universal Pictures in 1946. First, the overview. Mavis Marlowe receives a heart-shaped diamond as an anniversary gift from her ex-husband, Martin Blair. She is outraged and informs the hotel doorman she doesn't want to see Mr. Blair ever. When Blair arrives, the doorman refuses to admit him past the lobby. On his way out, Blair witnesses another man asking for Miss Marlowe, who is allowed to enter. Outside, two other men watching the hotel witness Blair leaving. Later, Kirk Bennett enters Mavis' suite. There's a record playing called Heartbreak by Martin Blair. Bennett finds Mavis lying on the floor, dead. Strangled with her own scarf, the heart-shaped pendant pinned to her dress. Kirk starts to leave but thinks he heard something and goes back to check Mavis' body. The diamond pendant is gone. He hears a door, follows the sound to the hallway, but sees no one. He makes his escape, but is seen by Mavis' maid, who is returning from a night out. Later, the police arrive at Bennett's residence. His attractive wife, Catherine, is shocked by the accusations of murder against her husband. When Bennett arrives, there is enough evidence to take him downtown for questioning. Apparently, Mavis was blackmailing Bennett. Unfortunately, the evidence against Bennett, such as fingerprints and the eyewitness, are enough to convict him, and the police refuse to follow up on the missing pendant. This prompts Catherine to start her own investigation, starting with any information about Mavis that might give her a lead. Her inquiries lead her to Martin Blair, sleeping off a stupor in his rooming house. When Blair is on a bender, the hotel clerk locks him in his room, and that's where he was when Mavis was killed. Martin doesn't want to help Catherine, but her kindness brings about his sympathetic side, and he changes his mind. The two follow Blair's lead of the other man he saw the night of the murder, which he initially thought was Catherine's husband. The man is actually a nightclub owner by the name of Marco. Catherine sings decently, and Blair, being a songwriter, plays the piano. The pair get a job as entertainers at Marco's club, which give them a chance to snoop around and investigate, searching for the brooch and any other information that might lead to Marco as the killer. Sparks of romance between the two ignite as they try to find evidence against Marco, but Catherine's loyalty to her husband is admirable. As Bennett's execution approaches, their time is running out, and so are their leads, which puts the attractive and unlikely pair at a crossroads. Did they miss something? Are the police holding out on them? Is Bennett really guilty? The answers are lurking in the shadows of this film noir classic. This is indeed a film noir classic, but before I get to why, let's check out the cast first. Dan Duryea plays Martin Blair, June Vincent as Catherine Bennett, Peter Lorre, Broderick Crawford, Constance Dowling, Wallace Ford, Hobart Cavanaugh, Freddie Steele, John Phillips, Ben Bard, Junius Matthews, Marion Martin, Michael Brandon, St. Clair and Vilova, and Robert Williams round out the cast. Black Angel is based on the novel by Cornell Woolrich. I haven't read his novel, so I can't make any comparisons, but from my research, apparently a number of aspects of the book were changed for the movie. The performances of this film were great, as far as I'm concerned. They were solid across the board, and they really are the main draw of the film. Dan Duryea and June Vincent have chemistry, and their relationship, or their characters' relationship as the film progresses, is certainly believable. Peter Lorre plays the almost bored nightclub owner Marco. His character is a bit more subdued than I was expecting, but it's almost refreshing to see Peter Lorre play a character who's not as dark as he often does. And it also adds that subdued factor in his portrayal almost adds to the mystery of how much does Marco really know. So a fantastic performance by him as well. Broderick Crawford plays Captain Flood, who is the tough, by-the-book police officer who is not without sympathy and brings a human aspect to the film. The special effects and camera work are most notable during the opening of this film. The opening shots that set the tone and location are simple and to the point, yet no less effective. We're given a brief glimpse of Martin Blair, and then there's a shot of a street sign below the Wilshire House, which is the rather extravagant hotel where Mavis Marlowe has a penthouse apartment in one of the upper floors. There's a shot of the street sign, and then the camera ascends very quickly over the sign and up to one of the upper floors, goes through the window, through the slats in the shade behind the glass, and into Mavis Marlowe's apartment. If you're not looking for it, you won't see it, but there's a blend of miniatures and a real-life set that is Mavis Marlowe's apartment. The miniature is, of course, the street sign and the exterior of the Wilshire House, giving the camera the ability to shoot up from the street to one of the upper floors, and then they used some camera tricks, blending two reels of film together to sort of segue in between the exterior and the interior of the building. The entire opening of the film was cut together, as I said, in a simple but artistic manner, and it boosted my expectations for the camera work and effects in the rest of the film, which unfortunately were not met. I was expecting some more dynamic camera work, but the camera work does not distract throughout the story, and it does give you everything that you need. The musical score is by Frank Skinner with songs by Jack Brooks and Edgar Fairchild. The music isn't terribly lavish, but it fits the film where it's used, and it adds another layer of atmosphere to the movie, and it's always nice to hear that universal sound thanks to Skinner. And speaking of music, I believe Dan Duryea plays the piano in this one. I wasn't aware that he was a piano player, but if you watch him close, especially the scene where he's drunk in the bar, I believe that's really him playing. One of the aspects of this film that I did not really appreciate was the lack of twists and turns. It seemed like there was something missing towards the middle of the movie, and it seemed to me like the main driving force, the motivation for the main characters, which is the impending arrival of Kirk Bennett's execution, didn't really have a whole lot of desperation. It seemed like as they keep moving forward and they keep running into dead ends, there should be more tension. The level of tension needs to go up, and I found that to be lacking as well. I don't know if this was a choice on the filmmaker's side or whoever wrote the script. I'm not really sure, but the twists and turns going through that murky, shadowy world of crime, it seems to me like there needed to be more danger, especially on the seedier side of the tracks. There wasn't as much of that as I was hoping for, and I haven't read the book, as I said, but apparently the book was darker and had a lot more to weave, a lot more for the characters to weave through. So there is that aspect. Don't get me wrong, the story was good, the performances were excellent, and that final scene, which I won't talk about because I don't want to give anything away, was certainly memorable. I should touch on the name of the movie, which is taken from the book, Black Angel. Catherine plays the angel. She, up until the point where her husband is arrested, is unaffected by crime in general. When her husband is arrested and nobody will follow through with the one clue that could maybe set him free, she takes it upon herself to delve into this world of crime, this seedy side of society. Going through all of these bad experiences, she's affected, and then she meets Martin Blair. Martin Blair, despite the fact that he's not the most upstanding guy in town, takes it upon himself to help her husband. Her husband, on the other hand, wouldn't raise a finger to help himself, nor her. He's more of a pushover than anything else, and is a bit of a nobody. She discovers that Martin Blair is more worthy than her husband, despite the fact that she's going to help her husband no matter what. She's now torn between the two. She's now tarnished, and she becomes the Black Angel. The angel who didn't go through this nightmare without coming out of it again unscathed. That's certainly how I see the title, and as I said, I did some research, and that seems to be how the story goes for the book as well, but that's very subtle in the movie. And I find that to be a shame, because this story could be so much deeper than it is. Now, having said that, it is a good movie. There are twists and turns, and the twists and turns that are present are certainly noteworthy. The movie is lacking in a few places, but I am going to give it 4 stars out of 5, because what is there is done well, and I'm going to give it a thumb up. I have to recommend it, because it is one of those classics. You have to get to the end of the movie to really appreciate it. I want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank Jerry over at drmacro.com for providing me with images for yet another classic cinema review. Check out drmacro.com for images such as these and more. Let him know, if you contact him, that you are coming from one of my classic cinema reviews, if you will. Please consider liking, subscribing, sharing, and leaving a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. I want to thank you all for watching once again, and I look forward to seeing all of you in my next review.